We have a complete front porch rebuild for you today, guys. It's going to be start to finish. It's going to be step by step. It's going to be all in one video. It's going to be instructional. And if you stick with us all the way to the end, you'll see the full before and after and completely how to demo a porch and rebuild a porch all the way to install the railings. First things first, this porch was breaking down. The cinders, as you can see, have deteriorated and turned into sand and dust. The homeowner made the right decision to completely rebuild this porch today. So that's what we're going to do. As with any rebuild, the first step is always the demo. So our goal is to demo to grade height. What do I mean by grade height? That's where the grass is, that's where the dirt is, that's grade height. We're gonna end up going lower than that if we need to, and we will fill in as needed. As you see, we completely take all of this debris down and we haul it, move it away off site. We get down to what's good. We have a block footprint. That block footprint is on a 3-foot footing. We then pour a 12-inch base that is rebar reinforced. What do I mean by rebar? There's those half-inch rods, rebars that are in a grid form, suspended above those blocks. We pour our 12-inch base with that concrete. And next up, it's time to rough in the entirety of these porch using block. First things first, we start with our corners and we run in between. You'll notice that these block, the first layer of block, aka the first step, is only a little bit above that concrete sidewalk. Why? Because the sidewalk is remaining. We want 5 1/4 inches above that, so we put our 2 1/2 inch limestone on. We'll have our 7 3/4 inches in rise. We're then laying everything in between. We will then measure back 11 3/4, and we will have our next step. They're going to be 12-inch step. Once the limestone are on, limestones are going to be our treads that are going to be the walking surface for this porch. So we have 5 3/4 inches of rise on the first step because we're going to be putting a 2 1/2 inch limestone. 2-inch limestone, 1/2 inch mortar joint gives us our 7 3/4. Here it can be 8 1/4 and under for rise. We are choosing to go 7 3/4. Measure back another 11 1/2 inches. You have step 3, same as step 4, which is also known as your platform. Once all the steps are fully erect out of block, we parge coat. Then we scratch the parge coat, as this will be the facing for our stone veneer. Next, we take high strength concrete mix and we seal every single hole, every single void of the CMU block completely solid. Why? This adds strength and this locks in all the blocks together to each other. Next, we pick up our limestone. These are our limestone treads that we were speaking of. We do our 1/2 inch joint. This consists of type M masonry mortar, sand, water, and acrylic fortifier. That same mix was used for the parge coating and was used to lay the block. We put the top limestone shred on, we plumb level and square, and we make sure it is pitched running away from the home. We put a 45 in the corner, we run our return limestone. Those limestones are perfectly 8-inch treads because we want there to be a ledge that's going to catch our rod rebar reinforcement for our poured concrete platform. The landing steps, aka the steps that we're going to be walking on, are going to be 12 inches wide. Same thing. We wet the bottom of the block that we're laying on and the back of the stone. We use water that has acrylic fortifier in it, so we are cleaning and bonding the surface as we lay our limestone. We also wet the backs of the stones and we lay those as well. Now, same mix, type M masonry mortar, sand, water, acrylic fortifier. We're laying our cultured stone. This is a Dutch quality stacked stone. There's going to be absolutely no joints in between. We're laying this with that mortar said. We're wetting the backs of the stone. As you can see, that water is white because it has the acrylic fortifier in it. So we're washing and bonding the back of every single stone. We then mud the back of the stone and we hold it on and we lay. We do the corners first, then we run in between. We do all of our risers for our treads first. Then we do our returns back into the house as shown. We put our last piece on our left side. It's time to do our right side. Once we get over the right side, it's time to put our final piece on. We step back, we see how it looks, and we're completed with the stone portion of the steps. Now it's time to turn our attention to the platform. The platform is filled with 3/4 inch, 3/4 clean concrete stone, 3/4 blue stone, because it's a 98% compaction ratio on its own. We compact it, we put our rebar rod grid over top, and then we pour 4,500 pound concrete that is fiber mesh reinforced. We hit it with our mag flow, knock down any humps, bumps, and lumps, go over it with our speed trowel, make sure there's no more lines. Then we wait. Then we're going to hit it with what's known as a sponge. We're putting a sponge float on because we want a rough finish. Why do we want a rough finish? Because we want it to be anti-slip. We need traction. What gives us traction? Either a sponge float or a broom finish will give us the traction we're looking for and make it anti-slip. We let it sit a day. We come back. We clean everything off. We take our hose and we thoroughly rinse everything off, make sure we're fully clean. Now it's time to do our layout for what will be our railings. We're going to be using the existing railings because this is what the homeowner wanted to do. We recommend they go new. They didn't want to. We recommended they paint them. They said they would paint them after they were installed. They didn't want to do anything first. So we're measuring what we have to do. We have to drill down 5 inches. So we're core drilling down 5 inches to reset those railings. We're going down a little bit deeper because we want those railings to be suspended. Why do we want them to be suspended? We want them to be suspended so that we can get our rapid set cement all underneath. So it gets underneath and completely around. It surrounds those railings and it completely locks in all fashions. Now, we use cement all because it's rapid set, so it hardens almost immediately because its strength, it's extremely high strength and is a non-shrink grout, so it won't shrink down and leave any holes in this opening. Once we put the railings in, we plumb, level, and square them. We suspend them on those limestones so they're a little bit up where they need to be, and we pour. We mix in a cup and we pour it in, and then we take a sponge and we thoroughly clean it. After we've plumb, level, and square and walk away from this railing, we do the other side. We take this railing, we take a railing, a 6-foot level on the railing. We measure across rail to rail, make sure they're dead level. They have to be perfectly level. Once this is done, our rails are on, our porch is done. Thank you for everyone who watched. Please like, follow, and subscribe.